Hi, this is Sally Gill, Jack's good friend of the last 10 years, and I'm here with 4 of his really good friends from the 1970s. This is Margaret DeArmond, David Ray, Linda Eliff, and Bill Miller. I do want to mention that Jack, Bill, and David were newly singled, as in a divorce, at the same time in the 70s. And there are many stories about the wild and crazy escapades of these 3 bachelors, including Jack. Take it away, you guys. We want to know your first memories of Jack. When you
Okay,
first met him.
I have a memory of Jack. Linda and I went on sabbatical one year I think it was in the early 1970s.
No, it
Whenever
wasn't.
we
It
went.
was 1977.
77, okay.
That was the late 70s.
And Jack and Paul, his son Paul, rented my place for while we were gone.
And we were gone from the summer of 77 until January
Yeah.
of 70.
So when I came back, Jack and Paul moved out, and lo and behold, the first night there, I looked under the mattress, and here was a pair of women's panties and
We start
a
with
bra.
this story. We start with this story.
And a bra.
Good grief.
And Jack denied it, but it was true.
I know, and they weren't mine.
No, they weren't.
Maybe they were Jack's.
Darn it.
The three,
That would have been a good story.
the 3 of us were all interested academically in kind of the same subject, theology, philosophy, and we just kind of naturally gravitated. We were all married at the same time, but then we got divorced at the same time.
I first heard of Jack in about 1968 when I was a student of BC, and Jack was in charge of student activities, although his title was actually Director of Student Affairs. I kind of wondered about that. But I knew who he was, and big important guy. And then it was in the 70s when I had his son Paul in class at Highland High, and I had to have a discussion with Jack about the lack of homework that was being done by this brilliant kid who really didn't need to do homework. But anyway, that was our first serious conversation. I think I really got to know Jack through other BC people that I knew, and all of a sudden I felt so honored to be included in this club and some of the best parties I've ever been to with all these guys. Lots of fun over the years.
Oh, and then as it turned out, Paul was at Berkeley working on his master's degree when our daughter, Heidi, was trying to get into Berkeley to get a doctorate in French. And she had no friends up there. And Paul took her under his wing
Yeah.
and was a wonderful friend.
He was a wonderful friend, and she remembers that to this day. Really nice.
And one of the years, right after he was divorced, he made Thanksgiving dinner. And Linda and I were there, and I think you were there, David. But he was a hell of a cook.
Jack is famous for his poetry writing, but he was also a master of words in a couple instances of that. He had come back from a weekend trip to Los Angeles on his own, as far as I know. And this was more than one trip that he had done down there. And so finally I asked him one day, "Why are you going to Los Angeles every weekend?" And he says, "I have to recalibrate." I just thought that was a wonderful way of saying, get away from Bakersfield
Yeah.
for a while, at least a short time. The other story, I moved to a place that I described to Jack, College Avenue, Oswell Street area. And so Jack immediately said, oh, you mean the country club area? With the affluent? And I said, no, it was below College Avenue, and it's kind of at the bottom of the hill. And Jack right away said, oh, you mean with the effluent? I just love that story.